Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe with another looking at my collection vid, sticking under this something weird, just a thought. Talk physical media a little bit. Talk this week. Talk a little bit of Synapse. Last time I talked, I'm kind of just grabbing smaller sections off my shelf, my collection. I think I only had 4 in my Vinegar Syndrome. Got a few more. A little bit wider expanse on my Synapse. Not near as much as, say, other boutique labels and labels, whatever. And even maybe at some point, maybe I'll just stick a franchise in. From time to time, open something up, just kind of looking at the one behind me way up there. You could probably see it right there. Yeah. Maybe I'll pull down that thing one day and just empty it out and remind everyone what was in that beautiful Arrow edition of Phantasm. So anyways, let's talk Synapse. Let's talk physical media and collecting. As far as I'm concerned, one of the major driving forces of getting involved in collecting, really, I've always been, and probably will continue to be, limited by quite a degree in terms of expendable income, in terms of what I can get when I want. I'm very, very, very particular. I probably only pre-order something big maybe once, twice a year. It's big. Like in January, I've got Opera from who's put that out? Is that Synapse? Which I can't even remember now. But 4K Opera by Dario Argento, 1987. Can't wait to check that out on 4K. So something like that. Pre-order, the thing about pre-ordering is, if you do it on Amazon, it's highly likely they're not going to snag the money from you until it actually ships, which gives you some time. You can feel pretty good about pulling the trigger and then, save up your cash over that time. Boutique labels, something totally different. Generally speaking, whatever. If you're getting something, pre-ordering something through Diabolic or something, any major 88 films, I remember that was an issue where I ordered, I'm pretty sure, well, unless I did it through Amazon, but like if you go specifically through those companies, they'll generally take the money out of your account the second you pre-order, and that is really for them, is to keep you from backing out. They sort of gotcha. I would imagine you can probably still cancel the order at any time, but at least for the moment, they've taken your money. Amazon is a little bit, it's kind of like the movie version of what in the old days we used to call a layaway program there. Layaway at Walmart or whatever. You're getting ready for Christmas, so you go and do all your Christmas shopping, then you give yourself a few months to pay it off before you go pick it all up. But quality over quantity is what really drives me. Basically, I want to spend forever on it, but you're used by trade sell places where you can, if you take things in, get in-store credit. Lonnie's really big on that, and he's got a good deal where he's at, a great record store where it makes a lot of sense for somebody like him to, take things in, trade it in for some in-store credit, let it build up, and then get some good stuff, because they get good stuff in. I have CD Warehouse and a Second and Charles. For me, Second and Charles, it's not really worth to go sell stuff and get in-store credit, because quite frankly, they never have anything that I would really be able to take advantage of that in-store credit. Now, CD Warehouse is a little bit different, except unlike Second and Charles, they don't have the space, and so they're much, much more particular on what they take. And so, I'm not going to be able to unload my shelf of all the Dollar Tree pickups, back when Dollar Tree was kind of like a hot spot to go to, especially around Halloween. I'm not going to be able to unload all that junk on CD Warehouse. They're just not going to take it. So, I would have to be, I would have had to upgrade it on something good. So, like, if I get Opera in for 4K, I get that in end of January, I think the 28th it ships. I could take my blue of Opera and take that up there. I could probably, give them that, and I would probably get some store credit built up. And that is a place that, if I were willing to do that, I could probably build up quite a bit. And I would use it because they do get some good stuff in there, man. I just saw the Italian release of Zombie, and I mean Zombie Dawn of the Dead. Beautiful. It's kind of like the Italian version of the Anchor Bay release, I guess. And Second Sight, of course, took that release, Anchor Bay, and just really kind of upped it with their 4K release, which, basically looks like this, right? I'll mention this in a second, but why I pulled it off. We are going to talk Synapse. So, I mean, I'm just kind of talking out loud, sort of to myself, sort of gave myself that idea. I mean, the only problem with that, with turning things in, good stuff, like you upgrade to something really good and just say it's fully loaded of extras and everything, and you don't mind giving away a nice Blu-ray release of something that can help you build up some store credit in a decent record store. The only problem, from time to time, are sometimes the extras on supplemental discs vary enough to where you don't want to let something go, because even though you upgraded on a better transfer, you might be losing some of the extras you had on the other release if you let it go. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So stores like that are really probably my main way of picking up stuff. I know City Warehouse is very nice, in terms of, $2 to $5 pickups, unless you're in the Blu-ray 4K section. And I think I picked up Dune Part 2 for like $16 or something like that. And I figured that was worth it. So quality over quantity, I would say BodyBags. I think I mentioned this before. The 6 years with BodyBags really fueled many. Now, a lot of the purchases I made because I had to for our theme weeks, label years, are movies that I was looking for anyways. And so that was my excuse of grabbing. Now, not every single pickup was like that, but a lot of them were like that. So I was picking up a lot of stuff that I was going to pick up anyways at some point, and that was my excuse. That was the way, I was doing it, right? And then, other things are, Christmas time, whatnot, birthdays, you get those Amazon gift cards, and then you can sort of just, you've been having your eye on something in particular for a while, and then you can go ahead. Amazon's been a great source of purchases for me over, when I picked up the original Anchor Bay release of Dawn of the Dead, that huge, all the editions and all that junk, I think I picked that up for like $12 or something at the time. You're not going to get that now probably, and so that's what I mean. You got to be really purposeful. If you're going to collect, you need a lot of patience. And, when the summer hits, spring hits, flea markets, yard sales, I'm not a huge goer of those, although this summer I probably, I live just north of Atlanta, and I know I have a flea market or two close to me where I probably can hit something big if I got the cash to blow. I'm not a big one on that stuff, and I'm not really big on just driving around for yard sales, but they're out there, and I have picked up stuff at yard sales before. I got a Star Wars trilogy, original trilogy, pre-special edition on VHS for like, I think the guy gave it to me for like $1. It was mint condition. I wasn't going to complain. I don't think he'd ever even watched them. That's the other thing with physical media is, what are you watching? How are you watching it? So like in my house, I got a VCR down here, DVD down here, my region free player down here. But upstairs, I've got my really nice region free 4K blue player. I've got a PS5 now as of this Christmas, got a DVD player with a VHS DVD combo up there. So it's like, we watch everything from VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K here. So physical media is really important in my house. It's a driving force of what we do. So anyways, just a few thoughts on that. So let me just jump in there. I see we're almost at the 10. We are at the 10-minute mark. So my apologies on that. Synapse, founded in 1997. I'm not going to, bury you in a ton of stuff. Don May Jr. is the guy who was founded it, inspired while he worked at a local Laserdisc store and just was, something he just wanted to do. He wanted to found a company that he could just restore old lost films. And they've done it, and they've done an excellent job of doing that. And if you really want to go deep on Synapse, Detroit film scholar Nicholas Schlegel, his documentary, The Synapse Story, via YouTube, multiple parts, you can just look that up. Nicholas Schlegel's The Synapse Story. It's up there. I looked, multiple parts. I didn't look far enough to see how many parts it's broken into, but that's something to look at. I went through all of my Synapse just to see if by chance, you never know when a documentary is going to just show up on one of your releases. I got the Creepshow release from the UK, and before that documentary, the big one that was released as its own release, I had it on that release that I picked up from the UK. Trying to get on the name of it, it's the big one, right? You're probably aware of that. So, Synapse. Another thing I've noticed, over time is, if Synapse puts out a documentary like Document of the Dead, 1980, Roy Frummix, I think how you say it, butchering it. They put it out in 98 as its own singular release. And you can find it now for you actually can find it on DVD for like $16. But that is also on the second site, Dawn of the Dead release, which is, like I said, it's like the 4K version of the Anchor Bay release, except a few extras. One of them is his commentary also on that Document of the Dead. So a lot of times you can find these documentaries that get singular, releases of their own. You can find them on. Sometimes you'll have a release on your shelf and you don't even know it's on there because you've never looked. And so that guy, by the way, Roy Frumkes, he wrote Street Trash, 87. It's interesting, right? Interesting. So, anyways, let's get into some of the things I got, and then I'll show you two things in the spotlight. I'll show you real quick. So, okay, so Synapse. Well before I ever even became a collector or considered myself a collector, I actually had something from Synapse in my military historical genre little area on my shelf. Had no idea, or if I did, I never thought about it. But Lenny Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will. Good old Synapse released this. This is the Nuremberg party rally she filmed in 34, I want to say 34. And this is considered like the propaganda piece of all time. She was fully funded by the Nazi Party. She didn't have to worry about anything in terms of money and the ability to edit in a way that would be most best for the Nazi Party, because this was really meant to play in theaters all across Germany and get everyone who wasn't on board with the party in terms of their vision and whatnot. So this is considered like one of the great propaganda films of all time. And Synapse put it out. I had no idea. It was sitting on my shelf forever, and never even thought of it as a Synapse release. I just thought about it as Triumph of the Will. And by the way, if you happen to have this and you haven't listened to the commentary on here, the Synapse release, historian Dr. Anthony Arcentoro, it's excellent commentary in terms of just the political nature of the Nazis, the rally party, and just all the symbolism and everything that went into that. So anyways, that was a little Synapse surprise. Let's just go DVDs, I guess, real quick. So this one I picked up, I think, last Christmas. Coffin Joe trilogy. I really, really, really wanted it bad. And this is, you know, multiple disc with the 3 films. Yeah, doing a really good job on that. Yeah, the first 2 for sure. I'm not sure what I really think about the third yet, but the first 2 are just absolutely, if you're into foreign film and important film in terms of its relevance and the time period it was made to where it was made, this is he might be one of the great villains in movie history. Just insane. Now this Christmas I picked up. This is a movie I wanted ever since I actually started considering myself a collector and started, because really what fuels me more than anything is a desire to have a lot of the stuff that I would have rented as a kid on VHS. You know, I mean, that was kind of like our well, grandma and grandpa's, or my mom and dad's soda shops or whatever, right? It was going to rent movies for the weekend, grabbing a pile of VHS tapes and just enjoying them over the weekend. And so as I was falling into Italian cinema is sort of my main niches, I've always wanted to have this in my collection. Michele Soavi's Dario Argento's Master of Horror. And forever, I just never seen it out there via Amazon or whatnot. I was always hoping I would come across it in one of my thrift store or used by sell trade, whatever. But never come across it. And then one day, I don't know, I was just surfing on Amazon, and I don't even know why I plugged it in as a search and popped right up. You better bet I snagged that quick. Watched it recently, and it did not disappoint. Really just an awesome documentary on Dario. And of course, we know he was his AD, and Joe D'Amato would give him his big break with through Film Raj on Stage Fright, and that would be his directorial debut, meaning, you know, Michele Soavi. And so this is like his first major entry into all of that, and it was really just to serve Dario Argento and let us in on who that guy was. Pretty awesome. In terms of the blues I have, I've only got 4, and I'll just go through them kind of quick. Intruder, I actually had this on DVD, and I worked at a grocery store back home, and my grocery manager was big on horror movies, but he, you know, I don't think he really went out of his way to find things. And I'm like, one day I'm like, "You've ever seen Intruder?" Of course, you know, if you know Intruder, you know. And he's like, "No," and I'm like, I knew I was going to upgrade it anyways, and so I brought my DVD in, and I just gave it to him. I'm like, "You got to take this home and watch it. This is yours." He absolutely loved it. It's one of the great giveaways I've ever done. Just because I know how much he probably enjoyed it. I know he enjoyed it. And this is one of the great Spiegel there, his entry. Probably one of the farewells to the slashers of the 80s. Gotta love Ted and Sam's cameos, and what's his name, Evil Dead there, cameo. Yeah, I don't know why his name, y'all know who I'm talking about. K and B, of course, in here. You know who I'm talking. Bruce Campbell, Chief Vince. Yeah. This was a recent pickup in the last 2 years or so. This is another one I remember seeing on VHS all the time. I didn't have good memories on how much I enjoyed it, but it just was handy during BodyBags, and picked it up. And it's a really fun creature feature. I guess I should. This really didn't have much in there except for just the disc. This is a little bit more. The docs on here are outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. This was another BodyBags need. Mosquito, Gunnar Hansen, of course. This is intriguing. This is definitely 20th anniversary edition. A very intriguing film in terms of it's one of the rarities, I think, in terms of what happens when an alien ship of sorts or whatever crashes into a swamp, and then as a result infects the environment, and just changes the genetic makeup of the insects and whatnot that drink out of the swamp and whatever. And of course, what you have is these monstrous mosquitoes and whatnot. And of course, Gunnar Hansen in there. He's a blast. It's a fun movie. Recent pickup for Christmas. I think, I boasted well on the Zombie 5 Killing Birds last video, simply for that one commentary track by Sam Deegan. This was an upgrade on Tombs of the Blind Dead by Synapse, right? And specifically, I wanted the upgrade and transfer from my Blue Underground DVD. I wanted that, but I also wanted the Nashi Cast commentary track on here. But as a result, there's actually some really good documentaries. You can see just all the extras on there. And there's one on early Spanish horror films, post-Franco. And it's interesting how, while Franco was alive, there was really tight control over what people did and what they could and could not do in terms of creating film. When he died, of course, it opens up Pandora's box, right, and just unleashes that Spanish creativity in terms of film and whatnot, and all that angst that they have felt for decades. But by the mid-'80s, though, it's funny, the doc mentions by the mid-'80s, though, socialists get control of Spain. So goes the creativity in terms of horror films and whatnot. Apparently between extremes in governance, Spain only had that short window of opportunity, 2 decades, to really produce some incredible stuff. Now, it didn't take long. Once you get into the 90s and up to the 2000s, of course, that has reopened, and you've gotten some incredible stuff out of Spain, in terms of, whether it's rec or whatever you're talking about. But the Nashi Cast, I haven't listened to it yet. That is definitely on top of my list to do. But I did take a sneak peek at it, and it does look pretty good. Okay, last Synapse that I have. So I've hit some DVDs, some Blues, The Surprise, which was Triumph of the Will. Here's my one and only 4K by Synapse, and it is one of my all-time faves, renting, of course, on VHS as a kid, and that is Suspira. This is absolutely insane. In terms of the sound and how it looks, 4K. I don't have a big 4K selection, and that'll be one that I will highlight on one of these videos, but I'm waiting for Opera to come in. And once Opera is in, I don't see myself getting anything, for a while probably, so I'm going to go ahead and just show that off. It's not the biggest section in the world, but that is probably the best example of, quality over quantity as far as I'm concerned, right? But anyways, 2 discs, one's a blue, one's the 4K. But again, Synapse did an absolutely incredible job on this release. Of course, Goblin score is so insane. The cinematography, everything about this movie is absolutely monumentally insane. Gotta love it. And this was, when I knew this was coming out, this was like mandatory. I had to get it. And it's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. I got, I really wish I would have grabbed that. I'm guessing, but I think it was Magnum put out Suspire on VHS back in the day. And because I was in the Army, I just missed one of my video stores back home had gone out of business, and they had this huge come in and just buy stuff. Of course, I wasn't around. I was in the Army. I found out about it after the fact. I was like, man, if I could have just grabbed that VHS release of Suspire, that would have been awesome. But my only 4K. So I know, pretty positive Synapse has never put out any VHS tapes, just DVD up. And DVD probably makes up the biggest amount of their releases, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a Synapse expert, but it seems to me. So let me, so Synapse, again, BodyBags helped really push, motivate pickups, because sometimes, we would have, our second week in would be a label, and so, of course, Synapse came up at least a couple times. So I had to pick up something from Synapse. I really wish I would have remembered back then. I mean, BodyBags was typically horror, right? But I wish I would have remembered my Triumph of the Will. Can't think of anything more horrifying than what the Nazis did. Kind of missed a chance to review that on BodyBags. That would have been fun. Different too, right? So the one thing I want to bring up in the spotlight right quick, got a Christmas present for my son, my eldest son. And my first Lego set, mainly it's the kids putting these things together. I've never put one together as far as, what Lego sets are today. But he picked me up Return of the Jedi, the Throne Room. Took just a day. I had a little help from my youngest Max, and James, my next oldest, helped out. But this was the final product. Look at that. And then, of course, you kind of can look through. And the Emperor turns around. I don't know how good you can see that or not. But, yeah, this was... so, even though I had a little bit help from my kids, this my first Lego set. The other thing I wanted to throw on the spotlight, a little piece of physical media, why region-free is so important. Being region-free and being able to take advantage of ordering, like I live here in the United States, right, in Georgia. But ordering, say, Amazon UK, which I haven't done in a while. But I remember, I could not believe I saw this. One day I was just window surfing. I had money, was surfing, looking for things. And I found this. 1951, The Thing from Another World, James Arness, Howard Hawks, of course. But if you see here, John Carpenter has a commentary track on this particular UK release. And that, I knew he studied the film in film school while he was at USC. And to hear him talk about this film is absolutely amazing. He actually he spent the money to be on the track. He doesn't get too far into that, but he does mention at the beginning of his commentary track. You get 3 cuts of the film. You get the unauthorized color edition on here. You get the just the regular black and white roughed up copy that has the commentary track. I think it's the extended cut actually out of Canada. I think that's what he said. And then you got a cleaned up, really nice looking black and white release on a separate disc. And so I think it's one of the stellar releases of The Thing from Another World. Anytime you can sit there and hear John Carpenter talk a film that, for the lack of a better word, I'll just, remade in 1982. I don't consider it a remake. I think it's a reimagining of the original novel, going back to the original source. There's not a lot to compare between Howard Hawks' film and his film in 82, but I get why people say it. But, it's interesting, some of the nods he gives to Howard Hawks in The Thing in 82, like just one example, and I'll just kind of let it go at that. How many people are in frame at any given moment? You watch The Thing from Another World, I think there's at one point 12 or 13 people in frame at a single shot, which is really hard to do, especially when everyone's sort of still doing their own thing. Very, very naturalistic in terms of dialogue and how it flows, just really real. And so when you watch The Thing, of course, he's got a few moments of paying tribute to that by how many people he has in a single shot. And that is, his being influenced by Howard Hawks. But this commentary, if you can ever hunt this down and you're region free, or let's just say you don't need to be because you're living in the UK or something, you just happen to see my video, this is well worth hunting down just for his commentary track. I have seen this very familiar cover. There's like 2 versions of it, I think, but you got to make sure you see the one that says with the commentary track by John Carpenter. Well worth. So Synapse. So that's pretty much my Synapse collection. Depending on what label I pick, they can, you know, really, and I'll probably have to really pick up the pace and just kind of fly through some of them, like Blue Underground, Arrow especially. Holy crap, I got a huge Arrow. I'm not sure how I'll do that. Maybe break that up into two things, but I wanted to start off small and just kind of jump back into this thing and talk physical media and why it's important. And I really do cherish, I want to say, pretty much most of my entire collection. There are things I could probably give up and not be too saddened by not having it anymore, and things that maybe I really do personally need to start thinking more of. What can I give up where I'm not losing extras because I've upgraded? You know, it's why I have a million releases of the thing. It just seemed like, whether it's Scream Factory, Arrow, other one, whichever major release you're talking about, seems to always offer something unique to its release, right? So it's really hard to get rid of things because you don't want to lose the extras, right? So, you know, but I do need to start taking a look at things and try to take advantage of CD Warehouse at least, and see if I can't upgrade on a few things, just so maybe I can get rid of a few things and build up some store credit. And that seems to be a pretty smart way. I'm just amazed of the videos that Lonnie puts out. And if I think about it, I may drop one of his reviews down, one of his latest ones down, so you can take a look at it as well. Physical media, it's important, especially important in my house. I've got 4 kids, raised them all on the importance of physical media, why we need to keep it important. And so hopefully someday, you know, when they've got their own families and their own kids, hopefully their kids, my grandkids, will be watching things on VHS tape, while most people will just be looking at them like, are you insane? What is that, some relic from 100 years ago? But it's you know, what makes us us, right? So anyways, hopefully y'all safe and sound, those who have been caught in the pathway of this incredible winter storm. Thankfully we've never lost power, but we did get here in Georgia, we did get a pretty heavy dose of some snow that we're not accustomed to, a little bit of ice buildup today, but somehow, some way, we haven't lost power or anything, and that's just a huge major blessing. And then, of course, all of our, you know, hopes and prayers go to those in California that are just having to endure just that absolute insanity. I can't even imagine what that would be like. But anyways, so with all that being said, my Bills are on TV tomorrow, first playoff game against Denver. Looking forward to it. As always, win these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.
We might be useful.